Hello everyone, I am Zareen Bushra and welcome to Political Science Academy by Beyond the Narrative. We're going to talk about liberty in today's lecture. And we would complete it from the CUET PG and UGC NET point of view. So let's start with it. So, liberty. The word liberty derived from the word liber, which means free. Word liberty is often used interchangeably with word freedom. This concept of liberty and freedom is not just a new concept. It is an ancient one. It has a very interesting historical background. But we will not discuss history of liberty in today's lecture. So, we will first understand the emergence of liberty in modern perspective. So, in the 18th century, French Revolution took place and popularized a slogan liberty, equality, and fraternity, which represents the importance of liberty in the new democratic world. The rise of liberal democracies led to the demand of civil liberties, rights, freedom of press and speech, etc. Also, it is the time when the debate of negative and positive liberties emerged, and many thinkers shared their point of view on liberty. The area of rights shifted from natural rights to various other necessary rights. So, without wasting time, let us understand the core tenets of liberty. So, the first one is autonomy. It refers to the capacity to make informed, uncaused decisions about one's life. Philosophers like Immanuel Kant emphasized autonomy's importance, stating that rational beings should act according to their self imposed rules. Second important tenet is agency. It encompasses the power of individuals to act independently from any external control. In the Indian epic Mahabharata, the character Arjun showcases agency when he chooses to fight, guided by his sense of duty and the counsel of Krishna. Third important basic tenet is absence of coercion. It's the critical aspect where liberty means freedom from external restraint. The establishment of laws and regulations aims to curtail coercion while balancing the individual's liberty with societal welfare. So let us move on to our next slides, which talk about the types of liberty given by Isaiah Berlin. The man on the screen is Isaiah Berlin, who wrote an essay regarding two conceptions of liberty in 1958. In that essay, he categorized between two types of liberty, that is, negative and positive liberty. One of the absence, sorry, one talk about the absence of restraints and other allow us to enjoy our freedom respectively. Let us understand negative liberty first. So, it refers to the absence of external obstacles or constraints, ensuring individuals are free from interference. It is often linked with classical liberalism, emphasizing limited government intervention, while the positive liberty represents the presence of conditions allowing individuals to act on their will and realize their potential. It can be seen in welfare states where government play a proactive role in ensuring citizens have the means to exercise their freedoms. And yes, Berlin warned that positive liberty could historically devolve into state mandated totalitarian coercion. He himself was a negative liberty supporter. So the thinkers of negative liberty includes Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, and contemporary libertarians like Robert Nozick and Friedrich Hayek. Thomas Hobbes himself stated that a free man is he that in those things which by his strength and with he is able to do is not hindered to do what he has a will to do. So that means Hobbes asserted that the laws of the sovereign restrict actions, and liberty would exist only when the law is limited. Then comes John Locke and stated that all men by nature are equal in that equal right that every man had to his natural freedom without being subjected to the will or authority of any other man. That means being all equal and independent. No one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. And he famously stated that where there is no law, there is no freedom. Government exists to protect the natural rights of life, liberty, and property. Friedrich Hayek and Robert Nozick also illustrates negative liberty. In the views of Hayek, liberty as a negative concept because it describes the absence of a particular obstacle or coercion by the other man. Hayek's definition of individual freedom as the state in which a man is not subject to coercion by the arbitrary will of another. And Nozick, that is Robert Nozick, said that, or in his conception, the primary threat to liberty is the imposition of obligations to which one has not consented. Both of them were the supporters of libertarianism, and we would discuss libertarianism when we will start with our international relations theory. So let's move on to the other slide, which talks about J.S. Mill and his harm principle. His most famous work is On Liberty. Core of his idea of liberty was that individuals' opinion should not be suppressed by collective decisions of society and state. For him, freedom was an essential component of the ideal of individuality. Mill discusses liberty under three aspects: liberty of thought and discussion, principle of individuality, and limit of authority over an individual's action. He famously divides human actions into two domains. First one is self-regarding actions and second one is other regarding action. In self-regarding actions, decisions impact only the agent themselves. And as per Mill, society has no right to interfere in this case if the person is not harming others. So, if a person is smoking cigarettes in his home or trying to do suicide itself, in some countries, society has no right to stop that person because he or she is harming himself only. And then comes the other regarding actions, in which the decision affects others. So, in this case, society or state can interfere and stop the person from doing harm to others. Like if someone is smoking cigarettes in public places, so people can stop him. Moving to the next slide. Positive liberty thinkers. So the thinkers of positive liberty talk about the higher self, the rational self that should attain mastery over the lower self for an individual or a people to be liberated. They talk about self realization and the common good. And the first thinker to talk about is J.J. Rousseau. A votary of positive liberty states that true liberty is in obedience to moral law. In his famous book Social Contract, he talked about the idea of general will and state that one person can be forced to be free under collective laws. Then comes the T.H. Green, who was a champion of positive liberty and argued that the state must remove social obstacles like poverty and illiteracy to facilitate individual growth. I forgot to add Herbert Marcuse in this, and he stated the working is incapable of seeing its true end and needs to be directed towards liberation by the revolutionary elites. Positive liberty also includes the idea of collective control over common life. Then comes our non liberal perspective from the very thinker Karl Marx. Liberation, as per him, is leading a life of self realization. That is, it can be defined as the full and free actualization and externalization of the powers and abilities of the individual. He held capitalism responsible for the lack of opportunities for self realization. And most of us already know that Marxism directly targets capitalism in its each and every theory or most of the theories. So move on to the next slide. An important one and my favorite one, the triadic relation of freedom as a triadic relation, the concept given by Gerald McCallum in 1967. So McCallum said that there is no simple dichotomy between positive liberty and negative liberty, and argued that freedom is always a single unified triadic relation, in which he stated that X, that is an agent, is free from Y, that is the constraints, to perform or become Z, that is the goal. So, a subject, that is X, is free from certain constraints or prevailing conditions, that is Y, to do or become certain things, that is Z. It's somehow important from our exam point of view and it is an interesting one. So let us move on to the next slide, which talk about the contemporary debates about liberty. So Charles Taylor. Charles Taylor is a communitarian and he criticized the concept of liberty, the concept of negative liberty especially, in his What's Wrong with Negative Liberty. So Taylor argues negative liberty is flawed because it focuses only on the absence of external obstacles, neglecting the crucial element of self realization and flourishing. For him, negative view is limited and superficial view of freedom. It neglects self realization, overlooks role of social, economic, and individual conditions, inability to distinguish opportunities. Then Michael Sandel rejects the unencumbered self idea of liberal individualism, arguing that our identity is socially embedded in the community, which directly defines human agency. So, as per him, the communal ID is somehow connected to the individuals and we cannot get rid of them so easily. Then comes NTA's favorite, the capability approach, given by Amartya Sen. Amartya Sen was an economist who contributed to the development discourse. He emphasized that freedom is not just a political right but also involves social, economic, and cultural liberties. So, freedom must be evaluated by person's actual capabilities, the real opportunities and substantive freedoms to lead a life they value, which includes physical health, intellectual education, political voice, and basic economic security. Moving to the next slide. Key text for UGC net. You can take a screenshot of it, and it's very important from exam point of view. Either you want to clear net exam with JRF, or you wanna crack the CUET PG. Okay, so moving to the next, and thank you for watching. You can subscribe to my channel, share this video with your friends and with other aspirants, and I would surely make a Telegram channel for sharing the PDF notes as well, so that you need not to copy each and every slide in your notebooks. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.